Okay, so the first coverage for midterm is about reactions in aqueous solution. So do not forget the periodic table, the symbols of the elements first. Do not throw your index cards back. We need those things sa reactions in aqueous solutions. This is where we will learn the different types of reactions, predicting products, and lastly, balancing equation. So yun yung magiging coverage ng topic na ito. So for our learning outcomes, first, you're expected to determine the general properties of aqueous solutions and then discuss the common types of chemical reactions that occur in aqueous solutions. And then lastly, identify examples of each chemical reactions. So again, our topics for this one is we have general properties of aqueous solutions. Maybe I can just finish up to this one today, and then the next topics, precipitation reactions, acid-base reactions, and the redox or the oxidation reduction reactions will be discussed next week. So let's start with the general properties of aqueous solutions. Let's have a review first of what solution is, class. Do not forget, pag solution gani na siya, it is always a mixture. Again, pag sinabing solution, it is always a mixture, specifically a homogeneous mixture. Meaning, pag sinabing solution, you will have a uniform appearance for your chemical substance. But it is a mixture. Ngano siya nahimong mixture? Always remember also, but pag sinabing solution, we have two components. Again, dalawang components para sa ating mixture or sa atong solution. We have the first one, the solute, and the second one is the solvent. Now, how do we differentiate the two? Pag sinabing solute, that is present in smaller amounts, and at the same time, ito yung dinidissolve natin. Again, the one that is being dissolved is called the solute. And most of the time, it's present in smaller amount. While the other component is called the solvent, unlike the solute, this is present in a larger amount, and at the same time, the solvent is used to dissolve. So kung si solute ang dinidissolve, ang ginagamit naman natin to dissolve is the solvent. So yun lang yung dalawang components ng ating solution, which is a homogeneous mixture. Now, another thing that you have to take note about solution is that a solution, class, is not solely a liquid. Hindi lang liquid ang ating solution. Pwede din siyang gas, pwede din solid. Again, ang solution kasi most of us, ang alam natin na solution, liquid lang talaga. Pero pwede pala siyang gas, pwede din siya solid. So anong example niyan? The air, class, is a gaseous solution. Ano man, anong meron sa air natin? We have lots of gases in the air, and they have uniform appearance. Gas lang talaga siya, ang appearance ng air natin, pero marami siyang component. So may oxygen, may nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and so on. So ano yan siya? Gaseous solution ng air. And then another one, we also have solid solution. One example of that is an alloy. Anyone here who knows what alloy is? Sa bang meaning sa alloy na to? Or if you can give me an example of an alloy, then that's okay. Anyone here who knows an example of an alloy? Let me change the color of my pen. Alloy, class, is a solid solution, ha? So, unsa day ang nasa alloy? Alloy are mixture
of metal, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Alloys are mixtures of metals. So, metals ito na pinaghalo-halo. So, syempre, they'll have uniform appearance, so homogeneous mixture pa rin siya. So solution pa rin siya. Meron pa rin siyang solute, meron siyang solvent. But the solvent there, class, is also a solid. It's just that it is present at larger amount. So let me give you an example of an alloy. We have the first one here, the bronze. Or like, kung magka-award mo, di ba, the bronze medal. Bronze medal. So, unsa din ng bronze? It's actually a mixture of metals, specifically copper plus tin. Na pinaghalo si copper and si tin, and that is what you call the bronze. It's an alloy class. And then number 2, we also have the so-called brass. Ano naman ito? It's a combination of copper plus zinc. Again, copper plus zinc. So both of them are examples of alloys. Pero marami pa tayong klase-klaseng alloys ha. May mga babbitt metal pa tayo, solder, and so on. Marami yan sila masyado. Pinaghahalo natin ang metals. One reason why we combine metals is that pag ano man gud siya, pure metal siya, prone siya sa oxidation, or that is what we call rusting. Example, iron. Di ba madaling mag-rust ang iron? So ang ginagawa nila, they mix together these metals to prevent rusting or to slow down the rusting na process. Sa kaya yung mga bagay-bagay natin ngayon, like sa sasakyan, kapag sinabing alloy, combination na siya ng metal para hindi agad magtaya ang any part sa sasakyan. So yun yung reason. But take note, alloy is a solution. It's a homogeneous mixture. And then, kasagaran class sa ato ang nabalaan na solution is liquid. Kasi pag moingon magugkag true solution, liquid yun na siya. True solution. Pagdugtungan na gani nato ang name of true solution, that's the time we are referring to a solution na liquid. So for example, we dissolve sodium chloride or our table salt to water. We will have a uniform mixture na dissolved na si asin sa tubig, and mo na siya itong ginatawag og true solution kay liquid man siya. Okay? So, kapag tinawag siyang aqueous solution class, ang ibig sabihin niyan, it is a solution with any solute. Any solute ha, it can be solid, it can be liquid na solute, but ang kanyang solvent is always water. Okay? Pag aqueous solution, any solute but the solvent is always water. We call it aqueous solution. Yan yung magiging topic natin. Kasi most of our solutions class, ang solvent talaga nila ay water. In fact, tinatawag natin si water as the universal solvent because it can dissolve a lot of solutes. Maraming types, various types of solutes ang pwede i-dissolve ni water. Kaya tinawag siyang universal solvent. So yun yung mga things na you need to know about solution, specifically the aqueous solutions. Any questions so far? Alin dyan ang hindi naintindihan? Kaya po ang uliton. Wala?
Not so far po.
Okay. Sige. So let us continue. Now, all solutes that dissolve in water. So we are referring into aqueous solutions here ha. Ang solutes yan ay makakategorize natin into two. Ang ating mga solutes for aqueous solutions can either be electrolytes or non-electrolytes. Dalawa lang yan. Electrolytes or non-electrolytes. Now, let's differentiate the two. Pag sinabing electrolyte class, these are substances that if you dissolve them in water, they will conduct electricity. Again, pag electrolyte, kapag nilagay natin siya sa tubig, magkakandak siya ng electricity. So bakit siya magkakandak ng electricity? Because electrolytes tend to ionize in water. The process is called ionization. Again, the process is called ionization. So if you look at the screen, we have an example there of an electrolyte, the sodium chloride. So asin or table salt. Itong S dyan, class, it means solid. So we have a solid na sodium chloride here. If we dissolve sodium chloride in water, there will be ionization, meaning the components of the compound will separate into ions. So like this one, paglagay mo sa sodium chloride sa water, you will get the sodium ion and the chloride ion. Ang AQ dyan, ang meaning niyan, aqueous, meaning the sodium and the chloride are both present in the aqueous solution. Again, the process is called ionization. And due to the presence of these ions, merong mga charge, kaya siya nagkakandak ng electricity. Kaya tinawag siyang electrolyte. Now, those solutes, class, na if you dissolve them in water and then hindi sila mag-ionize, walang charges or walang charged particles na mapoproduce, ang tawag natin sa kanila non-electrolyte. So since walang charged particles or walang ions na mapoproduce, class, hindi sila nagkakandak ng electricity. So that's the difference now between electrolytes and non-electrolytes. I believe you heard about electrolytes, right? Anong mga things ang mostly na-encounter natin si electrolytes? Kailan natin siya
Gatorade, ma'am. Gatorade po.
Gatorade. Okay. How do you call that Gatorade? Mga Gatorade, Powerade, we call them sports drink. Sports drinks yan sila, class. They contain, tama yan siya, they contain electrolytes. The Gatorade actually is an aqueous solution. The solvent there is water, but the solute are electrolytes. Aside from electrolytes, Gatorade also contains sugar. Now, sugar is non-electrolyte ha. Pag nilagay mo si sugar, yung sugar na ginagamit natin sa tubig, hindi yan siya nagpo-produce ng ions. So, meron din siyang non-electrolytes. But nevertheless, marami ding electrolytes sa Gatorade. So, tinawag yan siyang sports drinks because this drink is intended for those persons na athlete, they sweat a lot, right? When they do physical activities, they sweat a lot. And then our body, class, is made up of electrolytes also. So, importante kayo ng electrolytes sa ato ang lawas, sa pag-function sa atong cell, sa pag-beat sa atong heart. Tanang parts sa atong body kailangan og electrolytes. But if we sweat a lot, even in urination and defecation, pag mag-CR ta, we excrete those electrolytes. So, kailangan natin siyang i-replenish. Kaya yung mga athletes, yung drink nila, merong electrolytes para kahit nagsisweat sila a lot, they will have a supplement for the electrolytes. Kaya naging sports drink yan si Gatorade or the likes kasi brand lang naman si Gatorade. Meron naman siyang mga kaparehas sa market like yung Powerade. What else? I'm not really that familiar because athlete lang ko sa unang panahon pero karon wala na, so I don't drink those things anymore. So ang pangutana, nagainom ba mo permi o Gatorade?
Pag nagadula lang, ma'am, like parang sa intrams.
Pag nagadula o unsa? Intram?
Pag ma'am, nagadula ang sports.
Okay.
Pagdulag sports, ma'am.
Activities.
Ina LBM, ma'am.
Pag ina-LBM. Okay. Sige, number 1. Ano to?
Pag mag-dengue lagi, ma'am, ginapainom lagi blue na Gatorade.
Okay, I will explain that later also. Sige, number 1, sports drink siya. So, kailangan talaga siya ng mga athlete para ma-replenish ang electrolytes nila. So, kung dili ka athlete class, ayaw ninyo na himuha og juice ha. Again, pag dili ka athlete, ayaw himuha og juice ng mga sports drink na. Kasi we have to maintain these electrolytes in our body at normal level. Dili pud pwede nga managhan kaayo atong electrolytes. Unsa nang akong ginaingon nga electrolytes atong body? Sodium, chloride, potassium, calcium, those ions. Those are what we call electrolytes in our body. And kailangan normal level lang na sila. Mao nang ginatawag nga ang kulang ug ang sobra, dili gid na siya maayo sa atuang lawas. So mauna nga you only drink sports drink if number 1, athlete ka. Nakuha, pag dili ka athlete, ayaw himua og juice. Number 2, there are people na ginagamit siya in time sa diarrhea. Okay? Kasi if you have diarrhea, you have loose bowel movement, paspas ang paggawas no sa imuhang stool, and sa imuhang stool class ma-incorporate po dito si electrolytes. So ang problem with diarrhea, you can be dehydrated and at the same time you can have electrolyte imbalance. So that is the reason why ang uban pud na tao, mga patients nato nagainom pud sila aning mga sports drink during the time na nagdiarrhea sila. Okay? So pwede ra pud na siya, pwede ra kayo na siya, pero kung dili mo athlete, wala pud mo gikaliba nga ayaw himuha og juice si Gatorade. Number 3, na-mention ang dengue. We don't have drugs for dengue until now. Until now, we don't have medicine for dengue. But what we do sa mga dengue patient nato is we give symptomatic treatment. So kung unsa tong mga symptoms nila, mao lang to ang ato ang tambalan. And one problem with dengue is kana ganing pabalik-balik na lagnat. 'Di ba? Pabalik-balik ang lagnat for dengue. Kapag ka ganun kasi class na you will have high temperature, pabalik-balik for a longer period of time, you will be at risk of dehydration also. Pag taas imuhang temperature pirmi. Okay? You will be at risk of dehydration also. So ang ginahimo nato for dengue, that is just to prevent dehydration. We can also give this electrolyte na mga drinks. So mo na siya ang reason din ha. It's not because tambal siya sa dengue, but para lang to prevent dehydration. Actually, kung kanang ginalagnat mo, dili lang siya solely for dengue, kanang ginalagnat mo niya kanang longer period of time gud inyong lagnat, dili nang karon naglagnat mo ugma naayon na ka, kanang long na fever, long duration sa fever, you can also drink sports drinks for that or electrolyte drinks just to prevent dehydration. Okay? Pero kung kanang wala mo sa tatlo class, dili mo athlete, o mo gi-LBM, wala mo gihilanat, ayaw ninyo inuma as juice ng mga Gatorade because you will have excessive na electrolytes in the body and that is not good. So for example, potassium. Ang potassium class, pag magbaba na siya, ang level sa potassium in the body, pwede magluya ang atong mga muscles. We will have muscle weakness. Ano, kung kita mo sa person nga na hypokalemia, we call the condition hypokalemia. Hypo means baba, and then kalemia, remember kalium. K is the symbol of potassium. The people with hypokalemia has difficulty of standing, walking, kasi they have muscle weakness. But ang problema, another one, kung mag-hyperkalemia, paano kung nagsige na lang kag-inom og these drinks and then nag-hyperkalemia na ka, you will have a lot of potassium in the body. That is not also good for you kasi I'll give you a scenario. Potassium class is used for lethal injection. Are you familiar with lethal injection? Ano bang Wala naman tayo death penalty sa Philippines karon, 'di ba? We don't have death penalty. Pero sa unang panahon, na ay death penalty. And if, for example, ang gihimo sa death penalty is lethal injection, actually potassium na siya. Potassium na siya nga gina-inject. Kasi too much potassium in your body can make your heart mag-arrest ang inyong heart if you will have a lot of potassium in the body. So, muna akong ginaingon nga, ayaw ninyo pasubra ayaw mo sigig inom og kanang mga electrolyte drinks kung wala mo atong tatlo na ako ang gi-mention. I hope klaro na siya, ha? I hope klaro na siya. Kay gihimo ra ba na og juice karon pag uhaw kaayo, inom na dayon og like Gatorade kasi we can just buy them anywhere. Now, how about those like extra Jaws, Lipovitan, Red Bull? How do we call them? Si tawag na to ana sa ila.
Energy drink, ma'am.
Energy drink, ma'am.
Okay, we call them energy drinks. So, ano na siya? It's different from the sport drinks na Gatorade, ha. Kaning mga energy drinks na to, gitawag po na silang energy drinks because they contain caffeine. Ana sila caffeine plus to keep you awake, just like coffee. So, mo na nga energy drink siya. Kung gusto kang you will be alert, you will be awake for a long period of time, then you drink those drinks, energy drinks. The problem is if you are sensitive to caffeine, kasi you may experience palpitation. Okay? So, atong problema na magpaspas ang ato ang heartbeat. So, if you are not sensitive to caffeine though, then okay, go with it. Okay? Let me just answer the chat, ha. I'll be back 5 minutes lang. Okay, this one is very important. Makakos ba og UTI ang energy drink? Wait, let me. Okay. UTI is caused by a bacterial infection. Any bacterial infection. But it is not caused by anything you drink or you eat. Okay? Let me clarify that one. The UTI is never caused by those things. It is a bacterial infection, but take note that junk foods or soft drinks can just trigger the attack. I mean, isa siya sa factor pero dili siya cause. Okay? I hope nasabtan ninyo na siya. The cause is always bacterial infection. And how do you get the bacterial infection? Number 1 is because pwede na unhygienic mo. What do I mean by unhygienic? How do I explain that one? Pag unhygienic class, example, parehas sa ato girls, we are very prone to UTI because the distance between our vagina and the anus is, I mean, very small compared sa distance sa lalaki, ha. So mas daghan ang babae nga naga-UTI. So ang bacteria manggod, for example sa ato ang stool like the Escherichia coli, we call that E. coli. Mo na siya ang isa sa number 1 nga naga-cause og UTI manggod. So mo na siya class, di ba, pag kuya kita ginaistoryahan. Anyway, we are medical people here. Kapag ka naga-wash mo, kapag ka after mo mag-defecate, pagawas ha, dili pasulod. Kaya kung pasulod ang inyong paglimpyo, maadto man siya dito sa inyong reproductive organ and it may cause UTI. So that's number 1, unhygienic mo. And then as girls also have our monthly period. And since we have our monthly period, we are into using sanitary pads, mga napkin, and isa. Tawag ng isa.
Tampons for menstrual cup.
The tampons and what's it? Panty liner.
Anti-liner, ma'am.
Yeah, panty liner. We are used to using those things and it may cause the infection also. So, girls, remember, kapag ka nag-panty liner mo, pinakadugay na, dapat 2 hours lang. Okay? Again, 2 hours lang. Dili kay magsuot mo panty liner, isa ka panty liner the whole day. That will be the cause of the bacterial infection that will in turn cause the UTI for you. Or kung gamit mo og sanitary napkins class, that will be good for 4 hours only. So mapuno man na siya or dili, kailangan mag-ilis gyud mo ha, kay para malesen ang ato ang risk for bacterial infection. So those are the cause of the UTI. So mo na siya nga we should be hygienic para dili ta mag-suffer anang UTI na. Okay? Kasi atong problema sa UTI, pag dili nato siya matambalan, pwede man gud siya mag-saka class and can infect our kidneys also, causing kidney disease or kidney failure. So again, you need to take care of yourselves, especially sa inyuhang hygiene for that. Okay? Now, ang tendency ra ba ng UTI, pag nakatry na ka mag-UTI, magbalik-balik na siya.
Yes, ma'am. True, ma'am.
So, mo na siya ang tendency sa UTI. So, I have this kakilala, nagikapoy na dyan siya sa iyang UTI, kay sige manggod siya o balik-balik. So, what she did was, inoculate niya ang bacteria nga nag-cause sa iyang UTI. Daghan magug klaseng bacteria nga nagka-cause og UTI class. So ang iyang gihimo, iyang gipa-culture niya sa hospital. Pwede man gud na siya bacterial identification para ang tambal nga ihatag sa iyahang UTI kay specific gyud. Pag dili man gud ta kabalo sa kanang specific bacteria nga nag-cause sa UTI, ang ginahatag sa mga doktor ana nga tambal is kanang antibacterial nga pwede sa bisag unsa nga bacteria, pero dili siya kanang specific bitaw. So kung matambalan di okay, kung dili sad. That's what we call blind shot. Kaya wala kabalo ang doktor unsa ang specific bacteria. So kato akong kakilala, iha yung gipa-inoculate and dito niya nabalaan nga mao day ni siya ang bacteria nga nagaka-cause sa iyahang UTI, and then gidala to niya sa doktor, and then ang gihatag sa iyahang nga antibacterial is katong specific for that kind of bacteria. So as far as I know, wala na nagbalik iyahang UTI karon. So ingana ang ginabuhat nato for recurrent na bacteria. Pero ang kanang UTI, that is not just because unhygienic ta mo na nga nagkaroon ta og bacterial infection. Walay minor diri no, tanan ta 18 years old and above na. Tama? Okay. Kasi UTI the bacterial infection can also be due to if sexually active ka. Okay? People who are sexually active are prone to UTI also. So duha lang na ang reason, either unhygienic ka or sexually active ka. Katong mga pagkaon nga inyuhang gi-ask, mga junk foods and so on, mga energy drinks, pwede sila factor, maka-trigger sila. Kasi you will have, what you call that, kailangan magud natog daghang tubig para ma-wash out ng bacteria, no? Kung magsige kag kaon ana, magsige kag inom og soft drinks, dili man gud na sila makatabang sa pag-wash out sa bacteria. So, pwede sila mahimong triggering na factor. Dili siya UTI, never siya naging genetics ang UTI. Duha lang gid na siya, unhygienic or sexually active. So be careful with the use of the sanitary pads and so on para dili ta mag-UTI. The kidneys will be affected. The kidneys. For UTI, it will be the kidneys. Why na ay dili matablan og coffee? Why nga ang atong mga drugs manggod, coffee, caffeine, the caffeine in coffee can be considered as drugs. It's the stimulant na component sa coffee. Atong mga drugs manggod, ang uban sa ilaha namang ginatawag og tolerance. So the more ka nga sige ka expose ana kay sige kag inom, kadugayan ang atoang mga receptors in the body will be used to it nga dili na sila mag-react. So mo na nga naay uban tao class nga tungod nang sige na sila inom og kape bisan pag maglaklak sila og kape, dili na sila di na sila matablan, makatulugon na hinuon sila. Di ba mo man nang nagainom og coffee kay tungod gusto nato magmata. Pero mo to ang reason. We call that tolerance. So did I answer your question so far or na pa may gusto ipangutana? Wala na. So ang katong mga sensitive sa caffeine mo na sila ang naga-palpitate. I remembered my roommate kay nag-college ko sa Davao man sa UIC. So ang akong roommate sa una, exam week sa UIC, the day before the exam, na siya Ate Bim, they call me Bim manggod, Bim sa dito, bisag college na ko Bim gihapon. Ano siya, Ate Bim gusto ko magmata. Nga wala ko kabalo, niinom day siya og kape. Pero wala po ko kabalo nga ang iha din gihimo, isa ka mag 5 ka sachet nga kape. So ang ending niya, walay study nga nahitabo. Kaya nga no, nagpalpitate siya pag maayo niya, naluya na siya. Ako naunsa naman kadira, wala man ko kabalo nga ting ato kadaghan. And natingala ko nga no, naunsa naman siya, naglubog naman siya sa higdan, magmatay. So mo dito yung gibuhat. 5 ka sachet, isa ka mag. So don't do that. If gusto ka makamata, kay mag-study ka, 1 coffee is enough for you if you are still sensitive to coffee ha. Ako kasi I don't drink coffee also. I'm not into coffee. I don't like the lasa. I'm not into milk tea also nowadays because lakas tama pud ng milk tea sa ako kasi remember ang tea class mas daghan pa nag-caffeine sa coffee. Again, ang tea mas daghan pa og caffeine sa coffee, so I don't drink that also. Mga alas 3 na makatulog ko mo inom ko ana kasi my body is not used to caffeine. So if I study, when I was in college, if I study, ang akong ginabuhat is magsige kog inom og tubig. Magsige kog inom og tubig. Number 1, to keep me hydrated. Number 2, para pagkatulugon nako kaihion man ko sumadto kog CR. Nya pagbalik na ko ana mata naman ka kay gikan man ka naglakaw padulong sa CR, so mata na ko minom na sad kog tubig and the cycle goes on. Pagkatulugon nako kaihion na sad ko, so moadto na pag CR, pagbalik na ko ana mata na sad ko. So mo lang na siya ang ako ang ginahimo para makamata ko mag-study during my college days. But I don't actually stay awake for a long period of time. Dili ko mahilig magpulaw when I was studying. I make sure to eat na kumpleto akong tulog. Kaya pag dili kumpleto akong tulog, akong gistudihan, wala ko'y maalala na pagkabuntag. Mao na siya ang reason nga naga-mental block ang student. Number 1, gikulbaan. Number 2, kulang og tulog. So even during my board exam, kumpleto ko og tulog class. Preparing for the board exam, I patterned my sleeping time sa board exam. So sayo ko matulog, sayo ko mumata. Mo na siya ang ako ang ginabuhat sa una. So dili pug ko kanang grabe magbinuntagay og study. I don't do that. Di na ko kaya na. Hangtod karon dili na ko kaya mag-study, magpulaw. Ang Coke class wala man jud siya kanang electrolyte nga daghan, pero ang Coke kay daghan kay siya sugar, and that gives you the energy that you need. Okay? Daghan kay sugar ang Coke. Kung tanaw na to ang sugar ana as in daghan jud kaayo. Mo na siya ang naghatag sa atwa og energy. Mo na ang uban kapag ka nag-hypoglycemia sila, kanang mga persons gani nga nagababa pag maayo ang ilahang blood sugar, ginapainom sila og coke para magkaroon sila og sugar in the body, and that's our number one source of energy, carbohydrates, the sugar. So kung nagluya mo sa inyong lawas, pwede sad mo inom og coke. Pero ayaw sad mo pa sobra kay tungod daghan kaayo na siya sugar. Labi na basta na sa inyong linya ang diabetes, because diabetes is genetics. Ma-pass on siya from syempre generation to generation. Ay mo pa sobra. Kasi kung naana siya sa inyong linya class, magawas gyud na siya. Dako kayo inyong chance nga magkaroon og diabetes. Pero we can actually choose kung kanus siya mugawas. Okay? Mo na nga pagtarong mo sa inyong lifestyle karon nga bata pa mo para dili siya mugawas sa time nga bata pa mo. Sa sunod na lang, at least you have enjoyed your life sa inyong youth, and then sa sunod na lang siya mugawas. So ayo pud mo sige inom og coke ha, inom ra mo og ginagmay. Ayo pud ninyo adlaw-adlaw kay murag makulbaan ta ana kung adlaw-adlaw ninyo ang coke. So personally po, I don't drink coke. Pero kaya kung wala ginainom sa akong life, tubig-tubig lang yun. Tubig-tubig lang yun ko. I don't drink any kind of soft drinks, Sprite man na, ma-Coke, or ma-Royal man na. I don't drink those things. Coffee, I don't drink those things also. Ano lang dyan, tubig-tubig lang dyan ko. Gatas, kana lang, diha lang ko taman. Kasi daghan kayong sugar ang coke. Maka-cause og mental problems ng caffeine. Not really maka-cause of mental problems, but it can stimulate you. It can stimulate you. Pero kung daghan na kaayo class, it can give you anxiety kasi grabe na imuhang palpitations. Ayaw mo pa sobra og caffeine. Electrolyte, yes na ay electrolyte ang vinegar, especially this one. Tama kayo ang screen, no? Ang akong pag-move sa ako ang PowerPoint. Kana kung gibilugan mo na siya ang electrolyte nga naa sa vinegar. We call that acetic acid. Acids and bases class are considered electrolytes because if you dissolve them in water, it will give you also ions. But this time, the acetic acid in vinegar is just a weak electrolyte. So it can still conduct electricity pero dili strong. Hinay lang iyang pagkandak sa electricity. Nga naman na siya, gitawag siya weak. Kasi dili siya complete, walay complete ionization sa water. So, unsa akong ginamin, ana? Let me give you an example. Kaya gihati man na sila strong, weak, and non-electrolyte. Ang strong electrolyte like the HCl, hydrochloric acid, pag ibutang nimo na siya sa water, it will give you hydrogen and chlorine. But si acetic acid, if you place that in water, sorry, let me delete that one. Let me write this one, arrow. If you place this in water, it will give you the acetate ion and the hydrogen ion. So as you can see, only one hydrogen was ionized. You still have 3 there. Mo lang na ang difference ni strong ug ni weak electrolyte. Ang strong electrolyte has complete ionization, meaning you will really get all the components there na mag-ionize, kani kay partial ionization lang. Mo na nga weak electrolyte siya. So take note of the examples on the screen. Most of our strong electrolytes are strong acids also, strong bases. Pag strong acids and strong bases, kato na silang base of acid nga walay carbon sa ilahang structure or sa ilang formula. And our ionic compounds, or that's what we call our salts. Muna sila atong mga strong electrolytes. At ang mga weak electrolytes, though na ay mga exceptions din ha, pero most of the time they are our weak acids and weak bases also, meaning they contain carbon in their formula. And to add, water is also considered a weak electrolyte. That is why class water can also conduct electricity. Okay? Kasi water itself can ionize pag naa siya sa group of water molecules. Now, our non-electrolytes, if we dissolve them in water, they don't ionize. They don't really ionize. That is why they cannot conduct electricity. And as you can see on the screen, our non-electrolytes are organic compounds, meaning naa sila ay mga carbon. Okay, parehas anang sucrose. Sucrose class is our table sugar. Asukal na ginagamit nato. Pag i-dissolve nato na sa water, dili na siya mag-ionize, ma-dissolve lang yun na siya. The same thing with the glucose. This is what we call our table sugar. Our glucose is our physiological sugar. What do you mean by physiological sugar? Mo na siyang sugar class na nasa atong blood. Si glucose. Other name sa glucose is dextrose. Mo na siya nga pag ma-hospital mo, di ba, ginadextrose ang uban, ginatagaan og sugar, physiological sugar or the glucose kay para na ay energy. Kay usahay ra ba pag nagasakit ta dili ta ganahan mo kaon. Okay? Mo na mo samot og kaluya. Number 1 source sa atong energy class, sugar or carbohydrates to be specific. Okay? And then our mga alcohol also, they contain carbon. So they are also non-electrolytes. They don't give ions when dissolved in water. Okay? Nalang kay strong electrolyte na exception, you have there the sulfuric acid. It's a strong acid, it's a strong electrolyte, but you will just get 1 hydrogen ion. Diba? Duha ka buok yung hydrogen, pero pag mag-ionize na siya, you will get 1 hydrogen only. The other hydrogen will be left with this one, HSO4 na ion. Okay? Ito pa ng ibang question. Ma'am, ano po ang nag-cause ng lactose intolerance? Lactose intolerance is like a genetic defect. Again, a genetic defect wherein your body does not produce the enzyme. Let me clear all the drawings on the screen. Your body does not produce the enzyme lactase. So itong enzyme na ito is responsible in metabolizing the lactose nga. Ang lactose, by the way, is what you call the milk sugar. So natay physiological sugar, table sugar, and lactose is the milk sugar. Mao na siyang sugar nga naa sa milk. So again, pag inom ta og gatas class, our body is capable of metabolizing it para ma-excrete pud nato. Tanan natong ginakaon, gina-excrete nato na siya. Pero pag ikaw ang person nga na ay lactose intolerance, meaning you have a deficiency of this enzyme. Your body does not produce this enzyme. So, unsa nahitabo sa mga person nga na ay lactose intolerance, pag moinom sila, unsa mahitabo?
Nagasakit ang tiyan, ma'am.
Okay. Padulong sa CR. Padulong sa CR. Ang naay lactose intolerance. Dili pa na nila mahurot ang isa ka baso nga gatas sa CR na sila padulong. Nganuman, kay if you have deficiency of this one, what will happen? Ang lactose class nga imuhang giinom kanang gikan sa milk, ang magmetabolize ana kay ang mga bakterya nga naa sa imuhang tiyan. Diba natin ginatawag og normal flora? When you say normal flora, these are the bacteria na present mismo sa ato ang tiyan and they help in digestion. Mo bitaw mo inom tag Yakult, diba? Mga live probiotics na sila. Pag probiotics, those are bacteria nga kailangan nato sa ato ang lawas. No, pag ang bacteria manggod ang magmetabolize kay lactose, it will give you lactic acid. And kaning lactic acid is what's the correct term for this? GI irritant. Okay, this is the correct term. Kaning lactic acid nga ma-produce sa action sa bacteria sa lactose is a gastrointestinal irritant. Maka-irritate siya sa imuhang tiyan, mauna nga magsakit. Unya, It's actually a response sa body nga pag naay irritant sa sulod mo paspas na iyahang peristalsis. Diba peristalsis is the movement of the muscles sa atong gastrointestinal tract. Mupaspas na siya leading into diarrhea. So muna akong ginaingon ang mga people with lactose intolerance sa CR padulong. Wala pa na nila nahuman ang isa ka baso. So na-explain ba na ko tugtarong ano na nahitabo? Genetics ang problema ana. It can be a genetic what do you call that, deficiency of this enzyme. Okay, so ang seawater kay strong electrolyte, yeah, that is correct, Rosemary. Ang seawater, since it contains sodium chloride, it's actually a strong one. Ang sodium chloride ang reason din nga nung strong na siya mag-conduct og electricity. Okay. Ansa na kapag ang baby ma'am, paano mabalaan na lactose intolerant siya since ang breast milk ma'am may lactose man. Okay, sa infant class, we have no problem with actually the breast milk sa infant. Wala siya appeal din ha. Let me check ha, kasi I think I have missed something. What do you call that? I forgot. Wait lang. Ako siyang i-check ha, para tama akong iingon sa inyo. Pero there are cases na makabati ko na ay baby na dili pwede mag-breast milk. Wait lang, let me check that one. That. Yeah. Napdi ay. So, ganitong ginahimo. Wait lang ha. Kalimutan sa ginahimo ani. Treatment. Yeah, the treatment. Okay. Yeah. Ano na siya, nag-shift ang sa baby kung lactose intolerant jud ang baby ha, kay naman tay ginatawag og congenital lactose intolerance, and makita na siya the first 10 days sa feeding gani sa baby, kanang ipa-breastfeed siya or even dili breastfeed, kanang mga formula milk nato kung walay gatas ang mama. The baby will also have diarrhea. And then may mga gas passage permi sa iyahang gastrointestinal tract. And then pero kailangan na siya i-diagnose properly nga yes, lactose intolerant jud ang bata and it's not caused by toxins or other bacterial infection nga nag-cause sa iyahang diarrhea. Ipa-check din na siya sa doctor, and then ang ginahimo ana is gina-shift ang diet niya into calcium rich, mo na akong pangita kagay na calcium rich na food. So calcium rich na food, na mga substitutes ana kanang mga kanang sa tawag na soy na ginahimong gata sa baby nga calcium rich, mo na ginahatag sa iya instead of the breast milk itself or the formula na mga milk. So naapod tayo ing ana nga product sa market. Tapos kung old enough na ang bata para magkaon og solid foods, ginapa solid foods na siya, wala na siya ginatagaan og milk. Kasi ang tendency pag magsige manggod siya og milk, so syempre na siya pirmi diarrhea and pwede mauwi into dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. So mo na ilahang ginahimo kapag congenital ang lactose intolerance. Walay lactase gyud nga gina-produce. Pag nag-switch, pwede man good na kung formula milk are we referring into formula milk? Pag formula milk man good, daghan man good na siya klase-klaseng components, and naay uban bata na they are not hiyang to the components ana nga brand nga gatas, mo na nga pwede sila mag-diarrhea. So mo na siya nga ang mga parents pagkaroon, ang mga mother to be specific, ang pinakanindot gyud is the breast milk. Pero kung dili possible ang breast milk, ginapangita gyud ang gatas class na mahiyang ang ilahang baby kay basin allergic siya sa components sa formula milk. Remember, the formula milk is kanang daghan na siyang process nga giagian, so daghan pud siya og components, and pwede nga allergic ang bata ana sa isa ka component niya. Mo na siya ang reason. Okay? Oo, mo pud na siya ang reason. Nay uban nga dili makaangay sa gatas na ginahatag sa ilaha. Pero pag makaangay gani class, hiyang ang baby sa gatas sa formula milk, basta formula milk mo tambok pag maayo ang bata. Muda ko compared sa breast milk na bata ang breast milk o formula milk, mas dako ang baby kapag ka formula milk. Mas mutambok siya grabe. Kasi formula milk man daghan nagibutang ba. Whereas ang breast milk is actually limited, pero mas preferred gihapon ang breast milk class kasi dinha man gud ma-pass on sa mama ang kanang antibodies sa baby for protection niya sa iyahang body, which is not present sa mga formula milk nato. So mo na gina-prefer gihapon ang breast milk, aside from other reasons like bonding between mother and child ana. Okay, anything else? Wala na. So let's move on. The water class again is our universal solvent. It's a very effective solvent, especially for ionic compounds. So sa mga salts nato, mga ionic compounds, remember ionic compounds are combination of non-metal and metal and non-metal. So again, we call them salts. Most of them are soluble sa water. So, si water kasi, universal solvent siya kasi though it is an electrically neutral molecule, meaning compound man siya, so wala jud siya charge. Pero if we look at the components of water, na siya hydrogen nga positively charged, napod siya oxygen na negatively charged. So kana siya ng mga region or poles, pwede na siya magkaroon og interaction with other substances, mao na nga ma-dissolve niya ang mga solute. So water now is called a polar solvent. And ang kaya lang pud niya i-dissolve kay mga polar lang pud nga solutes. By the way, the polarity is dependent into the distribution of the electrons. Pag unequal gani ang distribution sa electrons, parehas si hydrogen ug si oxygen, dili man equal ang distribution ana sa electrons, mo na siya nga polar ang water. Pero pag equal gani ang distribution class, we call it non-polar. And most of our organic na mga substances are non-polar. Okay, non-polar. So mo ni siya, water is polar, and ang iyahang ma-dissolve pod mga ionic compounds, mga polar substances. There is an equal distribution of electrons. Now, aside from water, acids and bases are also considered as electrolytes. Again, acids and bases, do not forget hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid. For bases, we have sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. They are also considered as electrolytes. So example, hydrochloric acid and nitric acid, they are strong acids, therefore they are also strong electrolytes. They will ionize completely in water class, just like the example on the screen. So you will get hydrogen ion and chloride ion if hydrochloric acid is dissolved in water. Okay? So hydrochloric acid, other name for hydrochloric acid is muriatic acid. Muna ito ang ginagamit mang limpyo og CR class. Okay? Si muriatic acid. But hydrochloric acid is also known as the gastric acid. Muna siyang acid class nga naa sa ato ang stomach. Ang pH sa ato ang stomach is very low. Pwede siya, pH niya kay 2. So kapag, ano na siya, our body is actually, what you call that, amazing, no? Kay ang ato ang stomach can withstand the acidity of the hydrochloric acid inside. Pero atong stomach lang po na. Una kung GERD. Are you familiar with GERD? Gastroesophageal reflux disease kanang musaka bitaw ang ato ang acid sa esophagus. Sa layman's term, we call that heartburn. Medyo painful. I mean, painful yun siya. Kasi our esophagus is not like the same with our stomach na maka-withstand sa acid na. Okay? So, strong electrolyte po na siya. On the other hand, we have organic acids such as katong acid nga makita sa vinegar, acetic acid, nga wala nag-ionize completely sa water, weak acid siya, so weak electrolyte lang po siya. So, dili complete iyahang ionization. Again, pag sinabing ionization, separation of acids, bases, or even our salts into ions. Pag maghatag na ganin na siya ions, pag i-dissolve mo siya sa water, ang process is ionization. And it will be classified as an electrolyte. Now, kung nakita ninyo class, kani siya, we have here a two-headed arrow. At mga chemical reaction na two-headed arrow, we call them reversible reaction. Again, reversible reaction na siya. Sa meaning na, ang kaninga part mo ni siya diri ang atong mga reactant. Reactant, kung isa lang, syempre reactants kung daghan sila. This one is a chemical equation. And then we have here the product or the products. Now, kapag ka-forward reaction na siya, reactants will react to form the products. Pag na siya pabalik nga arrow class, reversible reaction na siya, meaning the products can also react with each other to form the original reactant. So, in both directions siya pwede mag-occur. We call that reversible reactions. And most of our inorganic substances na mag-react with each other, reversible reactions sila. Pwede na to i-combine ulit ang products to make the original reactants. Okay? Questions so far? I still have time, right? Pangutana. Yan na tayo mag-discuss ang activity series of metal. Before ko mag-continue with the precipitation reaction, let's just have a discussion first of the types of chemical reactions. So, musulod na po din atong balancing ha. Wait lang. Ayan. Types of chemical reactions. If na-open ninyo ang activity number 5, na ako ang gibutang dito, group 1. Ang group 2, wala pa tagitagaan ni Ma'am Charm. Ihatag lang ako una-una tong activity number 5. Pero next week pang deadline ato. And next week pang reporting ato. So, ayaw kayo mo pagdali. Wala ta nagdali ha. Ihatag lang ako dudaan so that you will have the idea kung unsay sunod nato i-discuss. So number 1, we have the synthesis or the combination reaction. You can see this dito sa activity. Now, what is synthesis or combination reaction? This is class A reaction wherein the element or elements combine with each other to form a compound. So elements combine to form compounds. Kaya siya tinawag na combination reaction or synthesis. So the general formula for this is syempre you have one element combining with another element. So this one is a reversible reaction. Ayan, to form the compound. Again, this one is to form a compound. So if you can see this type of reaction or equation, that will be under the synthesis or combination reaction. So let me give you an example. Example, you have a sodium ion combining with a chloride ion. Now take note that chloride belongs to the diatomic molecules. I hope you can still remember the Birchnow or the Birchnow. Ayan. The Birchnow. Mauni sila, di ba, katong mga elements na pag wala sila nakakombine with other elements, nag-exist sila as two molecules. So muna siya bromine, duha na siya. Kung wala siya nakakombine with other elements, ha, I is for iodine, Cl is for chlorine, hydrogen is, H is hydrogen, N is nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine. So na si chlorine din ha, class. And take note, si chlorine wala pa siya nakakombine with other elements. So diatomic molecule siya. Pag mag-combine na sila, Na plus Cl, it will give you syempre the table salt, the NaCl. Pero, wala na ginakopy ang subscript ha. Again, wala ginakopy ang subscript. Even though na ay subscript sa reactant nga side, it doesn't mean nga dapat naapoy subscript ang product na side. Kay ang chemical formula, human na ta og discuss paano magbuhat og chemical formula, di ba? Di ba nakadepende na siya sa iyahang charge, si sodium positive 1, si chlorine negative 1. Positive 1 plus negative 1 is equal to 0. So no need to do the crisscross. You just need to combine the symbols. So for sodium chloride, it is just NaCl. Okay? So that's how you predict the product for the synthesis or combination reaction. Okay? Sodium plus chlorine equals sodium chloride. The elements combine to form this compound. Ang kailangan lang nato himuon ani is to balance the equation. Again, we just need to balance. Nga naman, if you will look at it, you only have two elements there. This one is the reactant na side, mo ni ang product na side. You have one Na, we have 2 Cl. But on the product na side, we have one Na and one Cl. So dili sila balanced. So mo na siyang time na mag-balance ta og equation class. And we don't change the subscripts. Dili nato pwede hilabtan ang subscript. Kaning 2 din ha, o natong ginatawag og subscript class. And pag maingon mo og subscript, that represents the number of atoms. Let me write na lang sa screen. Pag sinabing subscript, nag-research mo ni last time, di ba? This refers to the number of atoms present for each element. So pag sinabing Cl2, meaning yan, meron kang 2 chlorine. Now, in balancing equation, ang atua lang gina-change, gina-trial and error nato kay ang coefficient. Again, we call it coefficient. Yan yung number class na nilalagay sa tabi ng chemical formula. Again, that's the number na nilalagay just beside the chemical formula. Coefficient na siya. And ano ang nire-represent niya? The number of molecules of each compound or elements present. Itong subscript specific sa atoms ng kada element, si coefficient number of molecules of the element or the compound. So for example, you write, paano natin siya i-balance? Since 2 chlorine dito, we will place 2 here as coefficient para maging 2 si chloride. Pero since kasama niya si sodium, sodium will also become 2. That is why we will also place 2 here para pantay na sila. So anong kaibahan ni subscript and ni coefficient? Si subscript, this is for chlorine only. Meaning meron ka dyang 2 atom ni chlorine. Pero pag coefficient class, you have 2 molecules of sodium and 2 molecules of sodium chloride. Okay? 2 molecules of sodium chloride. Yan yung nire-represent ni coefficient. And I don't know sa inyuhang high school paano siya gitudlo sa inyuha, but this is how I balance the equation. So balancing class is actually just a trial and error. Wala gyud tay kanang equation for this para madali ang ato ang balancing. Trial and error lang gyud na siya. All you need to do is to try placing coefficients here until the number of atoms for each element present in both reactant and product na side kay maging equal. So parehas ani naging equal na siya. Any questions so far? This is the first type of reaction only. Alin dito sa synthesis or combination reaction ang hindi naintindihan? Wala. So let me give you another example before tamaniud to. Let me delete this one first. I will not delete everything. Yan. So, for example, I'll give you like this one. Magnesium plus oxygen. And then I will let you predict the product or the products kung daghan. Pero definitely this one, isa lang na yung product ay compound lang na siya. And then you have to balance the equation. So sa himuon ninyo ani class, you just write the symbols. Mg for magnesium plus oxygen. Is oxygen included in the diatomic molecules? Okay, go over to the
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, there is oxygen. So kung hindi siya nakakombine with other elements, diatomic molecule siya. Now, what will be the product for this? Magnesium plus oxygen. Okay, product ano? Siyempre, idugtong nato na silang duha. Tama? Mg and then O. And then I told you, please do not copy the subscript. I-check sa ninyo kung kailangan yun ba niya og subscript or dili. Paano ninyo i-check na siya? You go back to the process nato kung paano maghimo og chemical formula. And that is through the charges. So like this one, please look at your periodic table. Magnesium belongs to group 2, right? So mo na siya nga positive 2, si magnesium. And then si oxygen na siya sa group 6A, ang iyahang charge ani kay negative 2. So positive 2 plus negative 2 is equal to 0. No need for the crisscross. So this is already correct. Wala siya nanginahanglan og subscript. Okay? So MgO, or that is what we call magnesium oxide. So pag mag-combine daw tag magnesium ug oxygen, we will get the compound magnesium oxide. Pero this is not yet done kasi we have to make sure that the equation is balanced. So we have magnesium and oxygen here. If we look at the original, we have 1 molecule of magnesium, 1 molecule of, 2 molecules. Duha-duha. Let me erase this one kasi may subscription na 2. So we have 2 atoms of oxygen there, and then we have 1 magnesium atom on the other side and only 1 for oxygen. So what are we going to do? Let's make this 2 by placing 2 here as coefficient. But take note that these 2 are being combined. So apil si magnesium, mahimo na siya og 2. So dili na siya balance. Let's just place 2 here as coefficient so that magnesium will also be 2. Dili na to siya ginabutang as subscript ha, coefficient siya. So this time balance na atong equation. Say meaning ana, you need 2 molecules of magnesium, i-combine nato siya with 1 molecule of oxygen. That is counted as 1 molecule, pero sa isa ka molecule ni oxygen na siya duha ka atom to produce 2 molecules of magnesium oxide. Again, the chemical reaction here is called synthesis or combination reaction because we have here elements combining to form compounds. So I think dira sa ako mag-end karon na meeting, we will be discussing other types of chemical reactions. Next week, we will still have the decomposition reaction. Again, we will have the decomposition reaction, and then we will also have the single replacement or displacement reaction. And then, daghan ta tayo i-discuss, we will also have the double displacement or double replacement reaction. And lastly, we have the combustion reaction. So we will be discussing how to predict the products of this type of reactions and how to balance the equation. Hindi po ba gina-multiply ang coefficient sa subscript? Gina-multiply siya. So example, pag meron kang equation na like this one. Let me think first. This one is not a combination reaction though, but we have, for example, sa baba na lang ha kay yan pa siya. So for example, replace 2 here and then no, I cannot. Let me think first of an equation nga mag-multiply ta og subscript and coefficient. Ba na lang nakaibutang plus. Okay, so if I balance this equation, kung tandaan ninyo natay aluminum, OH, I don't separate the polyatomic ions if naga-balance kung equation. I count them as 1. Kaya pag ako nang i-separate, ugma pa ko mahuman sa balancing plus. And then the last one is Cl. So originally, we have 1 aluminum, 3 OH, 1 magnesium, 2 Cl. Sa product na side, 1 aluminum, 2 OH, 1 magnesium, 3 Cl. So what am I going to do here is I'll need to balance this one. Let me start with OH first, 3 and 2. So I'll put 2 here. This will become 6. So 2 times 3. Mani siya mong gina-ask kung multiply ba ang coefficient o ang subscript? Yes, gina-multiply na siya. So 2 times 3 is equal to 6. And then I'll place 3 also here. Para 3 times 2, this is also equal to 6. But since kauban nila si aluminum, this one will become 2. Siya kauban niya si magnesium. So this one becomes 3. So I'll place 3 here. So that magnesium will also become 3. And 3 times 2, this will become 6. So aluminum, I'll place 2 here para sa product na side, mahimo siya 2. Yeah, 2 times 3, this will become 6 also. So that is how you balance a chemical equation. Yes, gina-multiply na ang coefficient and ang subscript pag mag-trial and error ta to balance the equation. We will have more of that. Pinadali lang ng ako karon kay it's almost time. We will have more of that next week para masabtan ninyo ng chemical reactions and balancing the chemical equation. Any questions so far before ta maniud to? Sa dapit minhawa na sabtan? Wala, okay. I'll be sending the links for the discussion today para ma-review ninyo. For the meantime, maniud to sa ta. See you later sa laboratory for our rationales sa exam. Pwede na kayo mag-log out sa conference.